All right, this week on Camera Talk. Where are we going this week, mister? Traveling around the world. We've been to Japan. We've been to Germany. Where else have we been? We've been to Russia. We've been mostly to those three, really. China! We've been to China. Taiwan, same kind of thing almost. If you ask the Chinese, the same thing.
Ancient Chinese secret.
Taiwanese will say, no way, man.
No way.
Yongnuo. That's China, right? We're going to China. You thought I was going to say Japan, didn't you? No. We're going to China. We're looking at the Yongnuo 35mm f2. Pretty cheap. It's a plastic fantastic. Well, let's see how fantastic it is, right? What do you think, buddy? Is it fantastic?
Don't care.
I don't know, Daddy. I never used it. Fine, be that way. Well, let's look at it together. Grab yourself something to eat or drink. Get yourself comfortable in whatever form that should take. And let's find out together and get it on.
Here I am, Vietnam. Rain is always coming down.
This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott. And you know who? Dylan. That's right. Dylan and I are back for another episode of Camera Talk. This week we're looking at another plastic fantastic. It's the Yongnuo 35mm f2. Now, Yongnuo is a Chinese manufacturer.
No shit, Sherlock.
And who knows if I'm even saying that name correctly. I don't know a lot of Chinese, do I? I know a lot of Chinese people. I don't know a lot about the Chinese language itself. So, whether I'm pronouncing it right or not, you can look it up. Yongnuo. And it is it's a plastic fantastic. And, we pretty much know the plastic fantastic from the Canon 50mm 1.8, right? Well, this one is a plastic fantastic, but it's a 35mm f2. And this thing is even more plasticky than Canon's plastic fantastic. And it's cheaper. It's just like $20 cheaper. And this thing's like $100, even under $100, $99 you can get it on sale for. But is it worth it? It's one of those things that make you go, Yeah. So, well, let's talk a little bit about it anyway. I mean, yeah, it's cheap. And as far as I am concerned as a shopper, I always say you get what you pay for, don't you? If something's super cheap, there's a reason for it. And in this case, it's the build quality. It's the build quality, the quality of the glass and everything that goes into it. Other than that, it works, but depends what you need it for. Now, who would this lens be made for? Is it made for you? Is it made for me? It's more like made for you, mister, because it is so economical like that. It's pretty much made for either, beginners who aren't sure if they want to even get into photography or not, so they're not going to risk a whole lot of money on a $10,000 setup like this kind of thing with Leica or, all the other brands out there that have some pretty pricey stuff. So this may be a good option for those who are just starting out. Maybe for like young students or whatever who are into photography, but they just don't have any money to buy, any good equipment because they don't have the money, right? They're going to school and mom and dad only give them $10 a week for doing chores around the house. It's going to take a while to save up money that way, right?
Little cheap bastard.
Or just people who are just low income, and there's a lot of those out there in the world who they'd love to have better equipment, but they can't afford it, so they got to do with what they have. And nothing wrong with that either. So, with that said, well, why do I have it then? I can afford better lenses than that, right? Well, it's because when it came out in 2016, They kind of hyped it up as this new plastic fantastic, and it was cheap and it was pretty good and whatnot. Now it can be pretty good if you want to call it that, but after I bought it and got it home and played with it for within the first hour, I kind of disliked. I don't want to say I hated it, but I wasn't thrilled with it. Let's say, got all kinds of things going wrong for it. But what do you want for 99 bucks, right? And hey, if you want it even cheaper, buy a used version. You can buy mine. I'll give it to you for 25 bucks. How's that? But still, it's, it is what it is. And so let's dig into really what it is, right? Well, if we look at the mechanics of it, or the technical specs, it's 7 elements in 5 groups. Nothing special. Lenses all around the world, designed in that format. Its close focus distance is 25 centimeters. Now that's pretty good, right? 25 centimeters is right about here, so I can get nice and close to get a big close-up look of Dylan. And we'll show you some shots of that later, but that's what it is. 25 centimeters, pretty good. It has 7 aperture blades, which is okay. I mean, there's tons. I mean, half of my collection up there has 6 aperture blades. It's a very common Japanese configuration, but this one has 7, and it's fairly light. Well, again, it's all plastic and everything. It's 155 grams. That's pretty light, right? You can carry that around in your pocket all day. Carry a few of them. They're so cheap. And drop them, lose them, people steal them. Go away. If somebody tries to hold you up and mug you for your camera equipment,
His brother from another mother.
sell them on the idea like, no. All the money's in the lenses. The body means nothing. Let me keep my Leica M10 here, and let me give you my 35 millimeter f2. That sucker's worth a fortune, man. You can get this for $6,000 on the black market. Anyway, if you're a good fibber, are you a good fibber, Mister? He's rather quiet today because, one, he got his flu vaccination, so he's feeling it, and he bit his tongue earlier, right here. He bit his tongue, and then daddy, cried like a little girl. Look, and he's showing me, and actually nipped it pretty good. I was like looking at it going, ooh, that looks kind of gnarly. Ew! But after making fun of him for a while, he started laughing. I thought that was fun. But everything he tries to eat, now he complains because it's hot and it hurts his tongue or something like that. But poor Dylan. The audience out there feels sorry for you. Oh, yeah, poor Dylan. So anyway, back to the lens. So that's the technical specs on it. Most, especially new photographers, want to shoot everything wide open, right? Wide open. That's why you get a lens that has, a very wide aperture. And f2 is not bad. It's very common, especially for the Leica group here. Most of their early lenses were all f2s. So you can gather in a lot of light with that too, as well with this one. But there's a huge difference between, a Summicron f2 versus this lens here. Not only the price tag, but just the quality of it. The Yongnuo 35 f2 wide open looks pretty unremarkable, let's say that. It's fuzzy. There's no real sharpness to it at all. It suffers, especially in the corners. Corners just suck. Just outright will tell you that right away, right? The corners suck.
They suck. They just suck.
It suffers from spherical distortion. So that's why, sure, the center may be okay, but the outer portions of the photograph are going to suffer greatly. If there's any kind of brightness in the frame, then chromatic aberration is going to set in, and you're going to get the green, purple fringing all over the place. And on top of that, the bokeh. Everybody loves bokeh, right? Yeah. well, not everybody, but you know, the people who love the quality of the out of focus background, the OOF, known as bokeh.
Rich, smooth, buttery bokeh.
Kind of look for that as well. Well, this one's got pretty fugly bokeh.
Mama says you ugly, hey!
So, wow, does it sound like a winner so far or what? Like, why would anybody buy that thing, right? Well, just stop it down one more little click and, well, it doesn't have, it's not a clicked aperture, but go to 2.8 and it actually has a big difference between 2 and 2.8. You actually start to gain some sharpness and contrast and whatnot, and your pictures start to look a little better. Now, even at f8, you know, which is kind of the best of the greatest sharpness across the screen kind of thing, across, I keep saying the screen, across the photo. You know, a lot of cameras will be that way, where it's just great from corner to corner. Not this guy. Even with f8, there's still questionable artifacts and weird.
That's weird.
Things going on in the corners. So it really doesn't have a great aperture where everything is great across the board. But as I keep saying, what do you want for $99, right? You get what you pay for. So again, it is what it is. But as I said, who is this for? You know, people who may not be able to afford, you know, Suma Luxes and things like this. They, you know, it's good enough for taking pictures. They may not be the greatest pictures in the world, but even with a Suma Lux, you know, if you're not in focus properly or don't have the right lighting or anything, whatever, it also may not be the greatest picture in the world too. So, as everybody always says, it's the photographer, not the equipment. But even with great photographers, this is going to challenge you. So, anyway, if you're in that category and you just can't afford anything more than $99 or something, my philosophy, because this is modesty photography, and we're all about tips and tricks about photography and, you know, vintage stuff and economical stuff. So my economical advice for you is to go after better lenses, but get them used. Nothing wrong with used stuff. I got used stuff. Actually, everything here except this lens and this lens is used. The camera bodies are all used. You know, obviously all my vintage stuff is all used. And it's all good quality stuff, right? Just because somebody else used it before you doesn't mean all of a sudden now it's degraded and it's a piece of crap. Even though, if they don't take care of it, and of course they can damage it and turn it into a piece of crap. But that's why when you're buying stuff used, you should check it out before you buy it, or buy it from reputable sellers. You know, so if you're on eBay, look for the big numbers and the bright stars and all these things and the good feedback and everything else. You know, if you see a lot of negative stuff going on, buyer beware, right? It'd be kind of foolish just to give somebody all your money who you didn't bother doing your homework and checking anything out. There's the teacher in me coming right out, doing your homework. So anyhow, so that was pretty much the lens. To talk about some of the other things about it. Now I have it on a Viltrox adapter because this is an EFM mount. Yongnuo also makes these in Nikon and Sony and perhaps some APS-C ones. I'm not really sure. I haven't checked that out, but I know they make them in full frame for all those guys. So they have two different ways of autofocus. No, sorry, that's my Viltrox. I'm looking at the little the lenses or the buttons on this side. No, on the Yongnuo lens. Whew, Daddy's going all over the place with that, isn't he? We have an autofocus manual focus switch here. It says 35 millimeter. It has its close focus written right up here, so it's 0.25 of a meter, which is 25 centimeters for those who are metrically challenged, or 0.8 of a foot. So it's, again, it's very very nice with the close focus distance. It has, of course, manual focus ring, but it's very tiny.
That's what she said.
So, you know, you may be challenged to find it. You have to go all the way to the end, but then you're almost grabbing the barrel, the lens barrel in that regard. Hang on, let me turn it on. It's definitely not quiet. Neither is Daddy's coughing, but if you listen, wow, it's quite loud, isn't it? Sounds like those some of those robotic people from Star Trek. What are they called? The Borg. You know, sounds like one of these things moving around. But anyway, so it's definitely not quiet. And, you know, as always, I try to see if I get as sharp as I can. And hang on, let me change my shutter back down to 2.0 here, or my aperture, sorry. And then I always get a shot of the nameplate on my 15 to 45 EFM lens that I use mounted on my Canon M50, which I use to record these videos mostly. And when I'm using my Canon M50, I use this to record the videos, so kind of share the wealth kind of thing. But anyway, I will see how sharp, or how sharp I can get as close as I can in on the end of the nameplate here. Now actually, I'm going to go manual focus because it is kind of sketchy getting this thing to work properly in that regard. Wow, it really is not sharp. I have no idea if that's in focus or not from here, even though I use my magnifier. Not getting the greatest result. All right, 1, 2, 3. So we'll see how that flies anyway. But let's bring her down to 2.8 just again to see what the differences may be in that regard. Same thing. How crisp can I get it? Let's say maybe right about there. Wow. I've never had a lens focus that poorly in all my camera talks that we've been doing here. And that lens really sucks, Dylan. Don't ever, if I ever catch you buying a lens like that in the future, no cookies for you. So anyhow, so let's show you some pictures of Dylan at 2.0. And here's some pictures of Dylan at 2.8. What are you waving at? And random crap. We always do our random crap, right? Showing this lens taking pictures of things other than Dylan. Even though in your mind I know there is nothing other than Dylan, but yes, there is. Out there in the real world, there are things other than Dylan. So here's some random crap at F whatever. All right. And that was all we got for this lens. Can we recommend that you buy it? What do you think, buddy? Can you recommend it? Huh? You gonna recommend it for these guys? No, apparently not.
What? No.
Dylan says no. I can second him on that one. I would also recommend that you do not buy this lens. There are plenty of other, similar lenses out there. Even the Canon EF40 STM lens, an old lens that's 40 millimeter versus 35. But buying, wow, it's very painful, huh? Talking about the lens, or are you talking about your tongue? But anyway, buy a used, EF 40 millimeter, and it will do a much better job than this thing. And of course, there's others too. You can get other 35 millimeter lenses out there that will kick this thing's ass. Kick its ass, right? Kick its ass. All right, so that's enough talk of that. Don't buy it, but that's because we're giving you our 2 cents worth on that, right? And of course, that's our opinion. There may be people out there who think it's the greatest lens ever. Good for them, That's why we have our opinions, right? So let's give our little plug for our favorite photo editing software, which is Luminar, right? Luminar AI and Luminar Neo. Are you saying no to that too? You're saying no to everything today, mister. You're being kind of negative out there. But why do I like Neo or AI, either one? It's because of all the AI. And you know what AI means? You thought you were going to fall, didn't you? Take my hand away and, Dylan's going to fall and hit the floor and cry like a little girl. AI. What does AI mean? Come on. AI stands for what? No, I can. Artificial intelligence. Yeah. This program is loaded with artificial intelligence. They have AI for everything. And I'm not going to go through the entire list again like I have in the past, but there's AI for just about everything. Now, of course, you can adjust everything from there as well. There's lots of templates and lots of sliders, just like Lightroom or any of the others out there. So it's good bang for the buck, but the most, I guess, ideal, or not ideal, its price point is what I'm trying to get at, is what should help you make that decision. It's only 80 bucks. 80 bucks. 80 bucks. It's like Captain Kirk. 80 bucks. Spock. Spock.
Spock. Spock.
80 bucks. You don't even know what Star Trek is. What are you laughing at? So yeah, 80 bucks. And would you like a discount from that? 80 bucks, even though 80 bucks is pretty economical. We can get you a discount, right? Would you like a $10 discount? Yeah, everybody wants a $10 discount. Well, if you do, click below. Yeah, there's a link in the description below. Don't tell them no. You're anti-sales today. We want them to buy. Because what do we get if you buy a copy of Luminar through our link below? They give us that $10 that you saved. Excuse me. I got that cough from him too. And you're like, blame me for everything, why don't you? But, that $10 you save, we get it. Which is kind of cool because, hey, we're going through all this work to try and sell it to you, right? And as you can see, the photos here, they look pretty good, right? All done through Luminar. And what would you do with your $10? Save it up? Save it up for what? For $1 million? $1 million. $1 million.
$1 million.
Well, what are you going to do with $1 million, mister? For you as a little kid, that would be the greatest ever. For me, you'd be lucky to buy a small 2-bedroom house with that. It's like, geez. Anyway, so that's Luminar. That's our little plug for Luminar. What can you do for us? How about you support our channel, right? And how can they support our channel? Besides buying Luminar stuff from us. Well, you can support us by subscribing. You want to do one? You want to do one? Come on. Subscribe. Wow, what's with the floppy hand?
Get her. Whoops, I've got your number back. You couldn't afford me.
Subscribe. That's right. And besides subscribers, what else does YouTube like for support? You know, the algorithm looks for things. They like a thumbs up too, right? So if you give us a thumbs up, we can give back a little shot of the thumbs up girls. That's Dylan's favorite part of the show. He's got the hots for the blonde. So we can go thumbs up, do 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 do, thumbs up. Okay, so that's enough ranting from me and carrying on and being silly. Are you being silly or is Daddy being silly? Yeah, whatever, buddy. So thanks for dropping by. Come on back next week because we do one of these shows every week, covering all kinds of different things. This week was about a lens. Next week might be about a little photography tip, or maybe just us talking about things. Who knows? He's still waiting for an episode about cookies, but I don't know if everybody's going to tune in to that one. So your cookies may be way on the back burner, buddy. So why should everybody come back here? Because, as Dr. Scott always says, you belong here. That's right. And where do they belong? Where do they belong, buddy? What's the name of our show? This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott and Dylan. That's right, and Dylan. So come on back next week. We'll do it again. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for buying a copy of Luminar if you haven't got one already. And just thank you for being you. And can you say thank you? No, I know your vocabulary is pretty limited. You're pretty much, you say bye-bye. You say bye-bye. Oh, got his hand going for a second. He almost fell for that one. Sucker. He's like, no, don't make me do anything. So, well, that's it for this week. So we will see you in the next video. All right, now we can say bye-bye, right? All right, so let's do it together. Bye-bye.
Here I am, Vietnam. Rain is always